when you're planing a board, this is a waste of energy. Even if you're coming across like that, what you want to do, see how my body, I'm just, now that's not, this is a pine board. I'm just basically supporting this back section with this hand. I've not got a huge grip on it. I'm not pushing really hard with it. I'm just kind of sort of pushing, and I'm holding this knob so that I'm holding the plane down on the wood, and I'm just, the blade is sharp. Sharp is number one. If you don't have sharp, you ain't got jack. Sharpen often. But the plane is sharp, and so I'm just rolling along here like this. If I wanted to traverse, I'm using my body weight and my body momentum. I'm going to clean that up now. See how my body's moving? And you can apply a bit more. There's more downward pressure on this plane than there is forward pressure. If the blade is sharp, you don't need it. But I might want to press down on it a bit to get what I'm looking for. And I've got a lot of reversing grain here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this board this way and see if I can clean that reversing grain up. Sometimes there's only so much you can do with a hand plane. You might have to go to something like a scraper, a cabinet scraper or a card scraper, but and I did not. It's cleaning up beautifully. You won't work near as hard that way, and you'll use the mass and the momentum, which is energy, of your body more efficiently in that way. I want to talk about sawing a straight line. If you look at this board, I have a knife line that goes all the way around, and I'm going to put another one on the back here. The reason for that is that I'm using a rip cut saw. Normally you would use a cross cut saw. In this application, this is a shooting board. I'm just going to use the shooting board as an aid, but it would work just as well if I clamped it in my vise. But generally you use a cross cut saw for something like this, but this is a 14 points per inch saw. So this saw is fairly fine. And what I'm doing, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a reflection of this board in this saw plate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up until that reflection is straight. I'll take and lay my thumb like that, like this if I was right-handed, but I'm not. And I'm going to start my cut. Now when you start a cut, the saw will try to do this. If you take Okay, I'm holding this saw loosely, right? I'm not got a death grip on it. But if I take my fingers and the pinky squeezes, watch the tip. Okay, and so I'm gonna lift that tip up a little bit. When I start the saw, I'm gonna start on the back corner and I'm gonna start dropping the saw imperceptibly. I'm not cutting deep here, but I'm gonna follow this line all the way to the front. Now I have a shooting board here. So if I don't get this cut perfectly square, I can clean it up on the shooting board. But now I've got that hole, and I'm going to drop down. I'm going to watch my line, and I'm going to cut to that line. The saw will continue to follow this curve. I'm going to drop down, and then I've got my curve established, so the saw is going to follow this curve. Now, when I start to break out on the other side, I'm going to slow down. I'm going to lift up. I'm going to switch hands. A lot of people don't really do this, but I can. And I'm going to lift that wood out so that I get a nice clean cut on the back of it. Now, you see I got a little bit of a lip there where that broke. I'll clean that up on the shooting board. Let's look at this. I've marked my reference edge. So we're going to go from the reference edge, we're going to take a square. You can see it's kind of got a gap in the middle. But that, for all intents and purposes, both of those shoulders are square, right? So if I turn it over this way, for all intents and purposes, that board is square. I don't need a whole lot of work on the shooting board, and sometimes I need none. I'm going to put a little nick right on the end of that to help avoid blowout. And I'm going to lay the plane on the shooting board. And clean that surface up. And let's look at it again. Reference face, or edge rather. Reference face. Dead square.